As one source told me, you remove a vampire from the locker room. That meaning a vampire sucks the blood out of the locker room. Russell Westbrook moves on.
Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook were never supposed to succeed together, at least according to ESPN. The network labeled Westbrook as washed and a vampire, while Jokic quietly dominated in Denver, often overshadowed by bigger market stars.
Are you at all surprised with your chemistry with Nikola Jokic? You guys look like you've been playing together your entire career.
Yet their unexpected partnership has proven the doubters wrong, exposing the flaws in ESPN's narrative. But has Jokic's brilliance unlocked Westbrook's resurgence? Or has the media missed the bigger picture? Months ago, a jarring quote spread across social media. Someone at the Los Angeles Lakers reportedly called Russell Westbrook a vampire, suggesting he was draining the team's energy. ESPN pundits had a field day, using this comment to bolster an ongoing story. Westbrook was a locker room cancer whose volatile style hurt more than helped. They pointed to his awkward fit beside LeBron James, the missed jumpers, and the visible tension on the sidelines. In their eyes, it was only a matter of time before the Lakers cut ties. Such scapegoating isn't new for a LeBron-led team. Whenever an underachieving roster struggles, fans and media alike search for fall guys. From Kevin Love to Kyle Kuzma, or even head coaches like Frank Vogel, the blame often lands on someone not named LeBron. ESPN has regularly capitalized on these soap opera narratives, stoking drama to drive ratings. Westbrook was just the latest piece in that puzzle. But the vampire portrayal felt particularly harsh. Critics harped on Westbrook's strong personality and fiery demeanor, interpreting his intensity as toxic. They rarely mentioned the structural issues in LA's lineup, where spacing and consistent shooting were lacking. Instead, they depicted Westbrook as inherently uncoachable, an idea that seemed to become conventional wisdom overnight. Fast forward to Denver, where Westbrook arrived with minimal fanfare. The Nuggets, led by the reigning MVP Nikola Jokic, needed an additional spark to chase a championship. Hardly anyone at ESPN gave this partnership a glowing forecast. After all, if Westbrook couldn't mesh with LeBron, how could he work alongside another superstar? The narrative was set. He was done, likely to fade into an overseas career or a bench role on a struggling team. After joining the Nuggets, Westbrook wasted little time displaying a recalibrated game. Gone were the clunky corner threes and forced mid-range pull-ups that marred his LA tenure. In their place emerged a downhill attacker who exploited gaps in the defense whenever he sensed a mismatch. He wasn't fixated on proving he could shoot. He was determined to score efficiently and distribute wisely. Statistically, the shift became obvious. In his final stretch with the Lakers, Westbrook hovered in the low 40s for field goal percentage, with his three-point percentage often dipping into cringe-inducing territory. In Denver, he shot around 60% over a span of multiple games, focusing on high-percentage opportunities, fast break layups, short floaters, and timely cuts to the rim. His overall shot attempts decreased, but his points remained steady, making him far more valuable on fewer possessions. Part of his success stemmed from the Nuggets system. Denver relies on tempo, ball movement, and opportunistic cutting. Jokic commands attention at the high post or elbow, and if defenders cheat too far onto the MVP, Westbrook charges into open lanes. When the defense stays home on Westbrook, Jokic has room to operate. It's a mutually beneficial dynamic that punishes opponents for focusing on just one threat. In transition, Westbrook looks energized, often taking off the moment Jokic secures a rebound. The result, swift outlets, highlight reel finishes, and early offense before the opposing team sets up. No longer is he left to wait in a corner as a decoy. Denver wants him to initiate and push the tempo, his natural gifts put to proper use. Moreover, the coaching staff doesn't demand that Westbrook become a sniper. They simply want him to keep defenses honest by taking open looks when necessary. That approach lifts a huge mental burden. He doesn't feel judged on every missed jumper. The freedom to be Russ, without the relentless scrutiny to fit a specific mold, unlocked a version of him many thought was gone. Of course, Westbrook's revival doesn't exist in a vacuum. Nikola Jokic deserves immense credit for setting the stage. A two-time MVP and arguably the league's best passer, Jokic controls an offense unlike any other star in basketball. He prefers to work from the elbows or short posts, scanning the floor for cutters and open shooters. His unique approach differs from typical ball-dominant superstars who pound the rock near the top of the key. In many ways, this style complements Westbrook's skill set perfectly. Because Jokic stays central, both literally and figuratively, he's like a gravitational force that draws defenders inward. Opposing big men get lured out of the paint, trying to contest Jokic's mid-range range or prevent his lethal dimes. That scenario leaves open lanes behind them. Westbrook's quickness and timing allow him to exploit these gaps, whether by darting in for a backdoor cut or flying down the baseline for a dish and dunk. The symbiosis also extends to distribution. Jokic's passing wizardry ensures the ball moves freely, and Westbrook, rather than feeling compelled to dominate every possession, can slide into the role of opportunistic playmaker. On some trips, Russ initiates a fast break or runs a pick and roll. On others, he's the secondary cutter, letting Jokic read the defense before delivering an impeccable bounce pass. This keeps Russ engaged without forcing him to hoard the ball. One of the most striking contrasts is the difference between Jokic's approach and, say, LeBron James's. LeBron often shifts positions from point guard to forward to center based on matchups. That adaptability is great for him individually, but can disrupt teammates who never know if they're expected to space the floor, set screens, or run ISO sets. Jokic, by contrast, stays fairly consistent. He's always the pivotal big with an expansive passing radius. That reliability helps new arrivals like Westbrook slide into the puzzle more quickly. We've seen Jokic enhance the games of players like Gary Harris, Will Barton, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, among others. Each found new scoring efficiencies by staying alert for Jokic's passes. The Westbrook partnership just underscores how even a veteran star can experience a renaissance in this system. If a so-called washed guard can reclaim near all-star form next to Jokic, it calls into question how many other talents around the league might be similarly unlocked by playing alongside him. The notion that Russell Westbrook fell off a cliff hinges mainly on his turbulent period with the Lakers, but a closer look at his career path reveals a different arc. Before heading to Los Angeles, he notched a third-team All-NBA selection in Washington, averaging robust triple-double-like stats. Although the Wizards didn't contend for a title, he proved his skill set remained formidable in the right setting. When the LA experiment went south, critics insisted that Westbrook's best days were behind him. They pointed to poor shooting nights and turnovers, ignoring contextual details. For instance, he was often stationed as a corner spacer, a role that never suited his style. In half-court sets with LeBron James orchestrating, Westbrook's touches waned. He'd attempt forced jumpers just to keep defenses slightly honest, but this only highlighted his biggest weakness. Desperate to fit a square peg into a round hole, Lakers coaches and front office members struggled to create a system that played to Westbrook's strengths. The press seized on every miscue, fueling a narrative that he no longer belonged in a high-level rotation. ESPN's airwaves echoed with talk of his downfall, with some analysts saying he should be bought out or waived entirely. Denver has now exposed that storyline by placing Westbrook in a role that maximizes his aggression and transition prowess. The Nuggets showed he remains a powerful catalyst. Instead of demanding he become a knockdown shooter, they let him do what he does well: push the pace, slash to the hoop, and find open teammates. The resulting uptick in field goal percentage, plus the improved plus-minus, can't be dismissed as a fluke. Moreover, in Denver, Westbrook doesn't have to carry the entire offense or anchor the team's defensive scheme by himself. Jokic draws defensive attention, and other role players like Michael Porter Jr. or Kentavious Caldwell-Pope maintain spacing. That support lets Westbrook focus on an all-around game rather than try to be a do-everything star. Why did the narrative around Westbrook lean so negatively in the first place? Much of it ties back to ESPN's reliance on high-drama storylines, especially involving LeBron James. Lakers-centric content tends to dominate sports headlines, given their massive fan base and the superstar magnetism of LeBron. It's a guaranteed ratings driver, so ESPN devotes immense coverage to every twist and turn in LA. In that environment, Westbrook was cast as a scapegoat whenever the Lakers faltered. The network's on-air personalities often hammered the same point. LeBron is the measuring stick of greatness, so if a teammate fails to mesh, the problem must lie with that teammate. The vampire quote fed seamlessly into an ongoing narrative. The star attempts to fix a flawed sidekick, the sidekick can't adapt, meltdown ensues. Meanwhile, Nikola Jokic's brilliance in Denver received comparatively modest attention. A small market star known for quiet dominance doesn't generate the same national buzz. ESPN's coverage of Jokic often felt cursory, focusing on his stats but rarely praising his capacity to transform teammates' careers. Had they dug deeper, they might have predicted Westbrook's resurgence under Jokic's orbit. This discrepancy underscores the media's blind spots. The station that once drove countless segments on Westbrook's alleged toxicity barely acknowledged how Denver's environment might flip the narrative. Instead, they kept milking the Lakers' drama until Westbrook left. Only then did they pivot to his new role, still infused with skepticism. Will it work in Denver? Westbrook's success there effectively challenges ESPN's broader approach. Star-laden controversies push narratives, while quieter, methodical development in a place like Denver gets overlooked. It's not that ESPN lacks talented analysts, but sensational stories often overshadow balanced reporting. The result? Fans hear a constant echo about Westbrook's demise in LA, with little context about how a different system could change everything. Another unheralded reason for Westbrook's resurgence is Denver's supportive locker room culture. While LA fans want rapid results, and the national press amplifies every little hiccup, the Nuggets operate with less external pressure. Nikola Jokic's leadership style sets a calm tone. He's not prone to emotional outbursts or public finger-pointing. Teammates describe a collaborative environment where roles feel clearly defined. This difference becomes stark when compared with the Lakers' fishbowl in Los Angeles. Any sign of friction between Westbrook and the coaching staff became a hot topic. National shows dissected how he walked off the floor or whether he slapped hands with LeBron during timeouts. In Denver, such trivialities barely register. Instead, the discussion revolves around in-game execution, movement off the ball, and how to refine the offense. Westbrook himself voiced appreciation for being allowed to channel his energy productively. He acknowledged that earlier tension made him feel alienated, like every shortcoming of the Lakers was pinned on him. Denver, on the other hand, provides him an arena to express his competitive fire without worrying about nightly media circuses. Even if he has a tough shooting game, the post-game storyline rarely spirals into "what's wrong with Westbrook?" The shift in mental comfort can't be understated. NBA players often talk about how crucial it is to trust your teammates and know your organization trusts you back. Westbrook, once labeled a vampire, finds himself embraced for his relentless drive to win. The negativity that overshadowed his final days in Los Angeles seems distant, replaced by confidence-building interactions with new teammates and staff. Meanwhile, Jokic's low-key demeanor complements Westbrook's high-energy approach. Rather than clashing, they form a yin-yang dynamic. One is outwardly passionate, the other steady and unflappable. That balance extends to the rest of the roster. Players like Michael Porter Jr. and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, or even backups like DeAndre Jordan, see how Jokic and Westbrook feed off each other. They follow suit, focusing on hustle and intelligent ball movement rather than drama. The Westbrook-Jokic tandem raises compelling questions about the Nuggets' postseason potential. With Russ attacking downhill and Jokic orchestrating from the elbow, Denver fields an offense that can probe defenses in multiple ways. In a playoff setting, opponents often try to neutralize a single superstar, but here, you have two distinctly different threats. Double Jokic, and Westbrook tears through the gaps. Overplay Westbrook's drives, and Jokic dissects you with pinpoint passes or his scoring near the rim. Defenders might attempt to sag off Westbrook, daring him to shoot, but the Nuggets have found counters for that. Russ doesn't just stand idle, he loops in from the weak side, sets quick screens for Jokic, or slashes behind defenders for lobs. This fluid motion ensures he remains useful even if his outside shot remains streaky. And if Russ does hit a respectable percentage from mid-range or beyond, the matchup headaches multiply. Looking at the broader Western Conference, teams like the Phoenix Suns or Golden State Warriors rely heavily on perimeter prowess. Denver's approach, a blend of a dominant center and a revitalized slasher, could exploit these squads inside. Meanwhile, if they meet the Lakers or another big market rival, the storylines practically write themselves. Will Westbrook exact some measure of revenge? Will Jokic continue proving that smaller market teams can dethrone super teams? Long term, the question is whether Denver can keep both Jokic and Westbrook happy. Russ might seek a contract extension or more guaranteed money, depending on how well they fare. The Nuggets front office has historically been cautious about large payrolls, but if results match expectations, they might be willing to invest. For Westbrook, this could represent the final chapter of his career, a chance to remain competitive well into his late 30s without being forced to chase stats on a lottery-bound team. In the end, Nikola Jokic and Russell Westbrook dismantled old narratives about locker room toxicity and obsolescence. ESPN's portrayal of Westbrook as a vampire missed the simpler explanation. A mismatch in Los Angeles overshadowed his strengths. Denver's system unleashed them. Jokic's consistent role and passing artistry proved that some superstars genuinely elevate teammates, not just theoretically. The result is a rejuvenated Westbrook, reminding everyone that the environment is everything. If a once washed star can return to form with the right support, perhaps fans and media should question which players could likewise blossom in the right fit. But let us know your thoughts below, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to watch our next one shown on screen.